This is our answer to our evaluation question 3, which is, what have you learned from your audience feedback? Now to start off with, we're going to talk about our digipack. Fortunately for us, we had many drafts of our digipack that we had people judge over time to see what they felt about it. The main idea that we wanted for our digipack is for it to be plain and simple, but still have attitude and charisma to it, because we wanted to take inspiration from the group Carmen, which we did the song after. So we realized that for them, that even though they use plain simplistic backgrounds, the colors may either be bold or they may be plain, but what mattered the most was the attitude that they had within the picture of themselves, so they can show how they want to be perceived. So since we wanted to have that idea, we thought we'd keep with minimal colors at first. So we started off having a range of photos that we chose, and we decided to have it in black and white. There was a time where we wanted to have probably a multicolored background, but we realized that over-confused things and kind of distracted from the color of the digipack, the style of it. So we started with black and white. Now, across the heading, we had the word pulses. Now, instead of putting the name Carmen, which is the name of the group, we thought we would put pulses instead, because at least that way it would be following one of the conventions of either having the song title, one of the hit songs, or the name of the group, and we just decided to go with one of their hit songs. And to make that stand out, we chose red, just so that there was some pop of color on the cover, and we had a flat line on each end. Now the purpose of that is to represent liveliness and life itself, and also within the pictures it involves myself and my partner Ruva. We both wore red lipstick as well. The whole point is that you can have attitude, you might be part of a dull world, but on the inside you're still bold, you're charismatic as well. Also with our digipack, we wanted to find a balance between looking cool and sexy and beautiful, but also being strong and assertive. And I think we were able to portray that since there was the two of us and not all the jobs left up to one person. Now, when it came to showing our digipack, it took us a long time, because we first started off with asking one of our fellow resources, Daisy Morgan, to help draw out the name pulses, because we wanted to use the same font that was used for the actual group's cover. We were able to do that and scan it, and originally one of the giant letter P was going to be going behind my head, but we ended up not having that because we thought that might be too complicated. However, as we've shown over time, we kept asking people if they liked the style, and we thought that they might have, since usually around, within our youth, the whole idea of being edgy and kind of black and white, simple, is kind of in, mainly because of social media. You see that on Instagram, for example. You can see that. We got a lot of positive feedback, fortunately, at least for when it came to taking pictures in the first place. Mahalia had the resources of having the backdrop and the proper lighting, so that way we were able to have a professional picture taken instead of having to take one from the video, and we had a plain white setup, which was helpful. So that just made it easier as well. And then when it came to editing, we did struggle a little bit with having the color correct, because we didn't want to just have bright red and one red tone. We went for more of a cherry red and probably a deep plumage red, just to have variation and that it's just not too overpowering or stands out too much. We were planning on also having a deluxe version, because sometimes artists have a deluxe CD, and we were going to have gold instead, but then we realized that we didn't really have the resources to actually have the gold color stand out. Instead, it just looked like a very pale mustardy yellow. And when it came to deciding and asking for comparisons, people preferred the red anyways, so we just decided to stick with that, so that way it wasn't too confusing. We were able to find resources elsewhere to find for the font type, to make it look handwritten and edgy, and just for it to just look cool, and just to also relate to the music video of it being just charismatic as well. We did have some criticisms. For example, when we tried to have a multicolored background, many people did not like it. It just looked a little too tacky at that point, and it just made the picture unrealistic. And it just didn't play as well as we thought it would. But fortunately enough, for the most part, we did get some help and some advice in placing some things and making sure everything's aligned. And if you look down further on in our blogs, you'll be able to see more detail of the processes that we had to go through in order for it to get to the final version of the digipack that we have today, which we're very proud of. It took a lot of time, but it was very helpful. But if you look further down, you'll see more detail and some pictures of what they looked like at the beginning and what we ended up with. Okay.
For the second thing that we did, was for our advert, and at the beginning we found it quite difficult to use Photoshop, but eventually over time, because we've done so many drafts of our digipack, we started to understand how to use each separate tool. So making the advert wasn't as difficult because we still use the same black and white washed out effect. We still use the same color corrections for the lips. We still use the same flat line that we had incorporated, and we still use the color splash look with the red lips that we had. So we found it not as difficult, but it was still quite a challenge when creating our poster. We first made 2 posters, and most people made 1, which was quite awkward because most people only had to focus on 1 poster, but we made 2. So you'll see on the blog or eventually on video, we'll put each poster side by side. And the first poster, we took it to our media teacher. It was due the next day, and he said he didn't like it. It was in the afternoon, and we had handed the next day. We had a whole panic attack.
So basically changed everything.
Yeah,
but the font.
But the font, everything was supposed to be changed. The main good points that he said were it included a very strong central image, which is one of the main bases of having an advert, and that drew attention. He really liked the use of the colors and how it had a symbiotic link with our digipack because we incorporated the same things. But then he came up with a list of just bad points, which were the title should be bigger, to remove the black strip, the record label should be moved from the bottom when it was at the top, the quote should be incorporated on the picture or the text below, the tour dates should be smaller, and tickets on sale need to be moved. And it sounds okay when you're hearing it's 1 or 2 things, but the fact that that meant changing everything and starting afresh. So this was like starting from stage 1 all over again. So this meant starting the picture all over again and enlarging it. So we went back, and less than 24 hours we made our second poster, which was quite impressive. We were quite proud of it. Took a lot of time, but it worked. And so our second poster has got a more elongated picture rather than a square picture that we had for the first one. Our tour dates were made smaller, and we removed the tickets on sale and put it at the bottom. We incorporated the website so that the audience are more familiar with the artist and they can go and retrieve additional information about the artist. And after doing all this, we decided on the Friday, because we personally felt as a group that our first advert was pretty impressive and we really liked it. And at the beginning, when we were asking people in the afternoon after we were told to go and change it, 8 out of 10 of the people said they preferred it like that, without any changes, and most people didn't understand. People were like, why are you doing this and that? They didn't understand what the teacher said. And we came to a point where we were thinking maybe we shouldn't change it exactly because we should just go with what we feel like. But then we decided to take a step back and actually think, because of our teacher has more experience, obviously, so we need to take in this feedback and use it to a positive manner, because we weren't going to lose anything by doing 2 things, because at the end of the day, if we didn't like the second one, we could still stick with our first one. So what we did was, on the Max, we put the 2 posters side by side, and we asked people to, when they walk past, to pick out which one they liked and why. And at the beginning, the first 4 people said they loved the first version and were thinking, what was the point of us going through that stress of making the second poster? But as more people started passing by and picking out which one they liked, the second poster was preferred more. So the overall total of people who preferred the second poster started to increase, and then we just decided to ask people why exactly they preferred the second poster rather than the first poster. And the main problem was the black strip on top, because we quite liked it because it made it stand out and it forced like people to look at the image itself. But then people said it kind of made it look like a pop-up or an add-on, and it actually, by it doing that, it forced people to not actually look at the picture, but to actually look at the pop-up that was there and the quote that was on it. So we would actually not be going along with the convention of a poster of having the elongated picture that takes up about 3/4 of the page, and it didn't allow the progression from a digipack to a poster. So that was our main problem actually about the black strip. And then the tour dates being smaller actually did help us, because when they were really out there, it kind of also made it look quite tacky and remove the focus from like the picture, and it made it look like untidy as well. So we quite liked it when it was quite small.
Basically, like it looked like one of those like posters for the nightclub, like a hood poster. That's what basically it looked like.
A hood poster. That's literally what
if
it
you go
looked
into
like.
the club, see that cheap DJ that just came out. That's what it looked like.
So we quite like the smaller, neater version because it kept it pretty decent and the professional touch that we wanted to have it with. Also having the quote on the picture also made it look quite professional, and it was because it was black, not white like the other time. It kind of blended in and it looked quite well, rather than it being at the top of the strip. And yeah, and then we still incorporated our digipack onto the advert because we.
Moving on to the music video, before we had the poster or the digipack, we actually got some audience feedback from our lip syncing task, which is really well down the blogs. The lip syncing task helped us identify who was best for what part of the song. So the audience discovered that Ruva was best for the chorus and Sade was best for the rap.
And Sade had a better technique because Sade was doing more of like talking, like 80% talk, 20% sing, while I was doing more of like singing at the start. So like when you sing like you add an extra tone when you're by yourself, which would then overlay with lip syncing.
Because of the really positive feedback that we've got, we decided to choose Carmen's a cappella song, and this led to another feedback from another audience, which we have video lower down our blog, and we talked about what aspects of the music video attracted them more. So through that, we discovered that the colour was the best aspect, so which we based our ideas around that. And then this led on to the research that we did. So Ruva researched into different effects that she could find, so like the paint on the stereo or like the smoke effect. And Sade looked into artists like Sierra and Tinashe for their costumes and like female dominance and how they represented it. And I looked into like international bands, so we were looking into a wider kind of variety of artists. So I looked at big band, and I also looked at Vogue covers. So I saw the water effect, which was kind of like one of our main ideas. So we all took each other's ideas into one, so everyone was really satisfied. In terms of the drafts, we only had 2 or 3 music video drafts. Is that? Yeah, we didn't have a lot. We did have quite a lot of positive feedbacks from their strong attitudes, which is showcased throughout the entire music video, and again the lip syncing. Along with positives, we did have a lot of negatives as well to help us improve, such as since our teacher did give us a feedback before of thinking that the performance music video would be more unique in comparison to other people other people's music video in class, which would help us stand out a bit more. We did have a little bit too much performance where we didn't have enough kind of like scenes where it would link into the lyrics. So that was something to refilm for next time. We did have a little negative aspect of how the footage looked a bit too contrasted or a bit too cold, according to Daisy Morgan. Knowing this, we did just enhance all the footages and like bumped up the saturation of the colours, so it did look more lively as well. Sooner or later, we did get a new teacher as well, so a new set of feedback from him. We did have feedback of having more close-ups of female like characters, like the eyes or the lips or the ass and the thighs. But this was a problem to us since it did lead to like a mixed kind of view from everyone in the group, because the main aspect of our music video was female dominance, and by shooting all these ideas for the male gaze, it's not really adhering to our idea. So, but we still tried it through footages and stuff, which can be seen in our blogs as well. The only problem was that when we did try to blend it into our music video, it didn't work as well. So like as a normal footage, so we decided to just add it as a layer on top of it at the end of the music video, so we still took our feedback seriously. And we did have another feedback, which was at the start, the feedback was that they didn't really like the opening scenes where it focused and out of focus into, was it Sade?
Yeah, I was like, we found this is gonna sound really dodgy. We found this back alley, right? And there's the staircase, so we thought, okay, maybe we'll just do some, shots of me walking down into the shot of like, say the next shot that we have of me singing. At least that was the original plan. So what we'll do is like, it went from out of focus into focus. I'm just focused on my feet walking down. And then that's when we want to have the name of like the song, and the artist come up as well. And then after this is also, the next shot was me stepping into a puddle and like splashing everywhere to go with the beat of the song. But we just told that it was unnecessary and just didn't really tie in. So what we did do is ended up changing it. Fortunately for us, we got access to a drama room, and what we had was a white sheet, and then we shot lights onto it, but we had color filters on it. So all we do is to stand in front of the light and just do some dancing, like shadow dancing, And then later on, on Final Cut Pro, we edited it to put some lines on it. Also, when it cut from, because both Ruva and I, we did the scenes, that when we cut from each one, we made sure it's on time to the beat, but also we had like a fuzzy effect, like it's a TV, like you're tuning into the song as well, just to see the message and stuff like that. So we thought that was a more cool effect as it relates to the music video and just the TV world and production and stuff like that. So it actually worked a lot more, and it was highly favored by a lot of people that viewed it afterwards, and got a lot of questions on how we did it, and it just seemed more, at least it added more to our technological side of building it in and just making it more visually appealing and stuff like that, because at least it just helped us get those extra marks, because before, if we didn't have that, it would have been lacking in that department, but yeah.
The main reason why we had those step pictures was because we found like a lot of tutorials on YouTube about different camera shots and like how to hold the camera like in different techniques. So we had like the zooming in effect using a rubber band to hold the tripod as it goes back and zooming out. So we were just kind of exploring how to use those techniques. So even though we didn't use it, it did quite help us later on how to actually handle our cameras and our techniques.
So after that, so the shadow effect did get a lot of positive aspects to it, and the problem was we did add that in the middle section of the music video, which was one of our other feedbacks as well. So through this, it linked the music video a bit more, so the shadow effect at the start replacing the out and on focus shots that we had first. It kind of linked into it, so it wasn't just a one-time effect, which was what we kind of realised halfway through. we had the feedback about adding in a male character to our music video, because looking at the lyrics of the songs, it does talk about a lot of a relationship between two characters. So not putting a male character into our music videos, it can break the link between the lyrics and the music video itself.
Yeah, there was our teacher said that we needed to tie up our narrative. That was our main problem.
It was just unclear. So Alex,
They should understand. They should understand.
So through this, we added Alex into our group, which was really good because he had quite a lot of frees when we had music videos. So scheduling wise, it fit all nicely. And since I wasn't in the shooting, do you want to talk about what you did with the whole camera and stuff with Alex?
One of the YouTube tutorials I watched was a clothing effect. So it was, when I watched that one, which it was in the black, I asked Sade to just dance for a long clip, and I asked her to dance to the left side and then move away and then dance at the right side. But at a certain point, she had to look to the other side. And then later on through editing, we overlaid these two clips and cropped one to the left so you showed what was on the other clip side. And then we just cut them in a certain position and put markers on when she would look to the other side. I put a marker on the clip when she'd be looking at the other side. So that it looked as if she was now looking at herself for the clone effect. That's what we had done. But the only problem was because we shot in ambient light, sometimes because of British weather, the lighting would change, and that was the one of the main problems that we had. But we just decided to keep it through because we really liked the effect that it had. And for Alex and Shade's shots, I just used some handheld camera shots because I felt like many hip hop and rap music videos don't really depend much on still images. The camera has to be moving to capture the energy of the artist, so that's the main reason why we use the handheld shots.
And since we showed this in our music video, our teacher said to add in more of the montage between the relationship. So Ruva came up with the whole 360 kind of turning, turning shot. So you had Alex and Ruva, they would kind of turn and it would show the contrast between their relationship. We did this through a kind of a testing footage with a rolly kind of tripod, but when we looked at it on the max, it was too it moved too much, so we couldn't put any effects on it to keep it still or anything like that. So we couldn't really use it in our music video, which was pretty sad because it was such a cool idea as well. In terms of the final drafts, the only change that we made was changing the how well you can see each layer of the stuff that we did. So we added in the close-ups at the end, along with you two dancing. Well, it looked like you were dancing at the same shot, but it was more like you two were dancing in different shots, but we just put it all together at the end. So we did so much layers on those things that sometimes you couldn't really see what was going on. So it was only just adjusting the colours or the lighting, or even how much of the footage is seen. But in the end, everything was good because everyone really liked our final draft. Is there anything else I thought?
They just in the music video was sassy.
Very sassy.
Sassy.